Hello students, my name is Moon and this is the lecture on life stages at the introductory level. Most of the information in this lecture and pretty much most of the information in this semester are from your textbook. So if any of the topics I cover in this lecture you feel you need a little more explanation, please go to the textbook for elaboration. The first slide are definitions that we need to set to lay the groundwork for the lecture going forward. So please pause the video here and review each one of these definitions and make sure you understand it. As always, feel free to email me for if any of this you feel needs a little more explanation, elaboration. But anyway, let's get on with the lecture. Mother, infant, child. It is for more policy. It's a category that policymakers, politicians, people in charge of the money, because after all, the investments, the services, the programs made available for the beginning years of their citizens' lives absolutely affect their mother as well as the infant too. So the U.S. has been getting better at reducing infant mortality or mortality of the mother and the infant over time, and that's from steadily increasing medical knowledge, getting better at it. Mistakes are still being made today, but less than what they used to be before. So a mother is eating for two. And that is where these unusual requests from the new mom is coming from. So the mother doesn't know intellectually, in the front half of her brain why she wants certain things, but her body knows. It's like maybe the body feels that we need more sodium, or the body feels we need more calories. And absolutely, because now there is a developing human being. And so it goes. As far as the nutritional specifics, and these numbers are from your textbook, these are good guides, but these numbers are one of those one-size-fits-all numbers that apply to the middle of the bell curve. Remember what the bell curve is. And so does it apply to you? Like if you are expecting a new one soon, should you stick to these numbers exactly? And the answer is of course not. Of course not. So how do you know how much you should be eating? Exactly how much of what should you be making sure you take care of for yourself? And you will get lots of advice, right? You will get lots of advice from relatives, from your parents, from neighbors. Everybody has their opinion, and they're going to let you know it because they see that you are expecting a new baby. Of course, you're going onto the internet and doing all kinds of research. People are handing you pamphlets full of all kinds of information. And of course, the more you know, the better prepared you are and the better you can take care of your baby. But watch out, because remember, the internet is full of fakers and con artists and scams, and people who are saying crap just so they can get clicks, and they don't really care if it's true or not. So which of all of the advice you get, who is the most responsible to make sure they get it right? Who actually has something to lose if they get it wrong? Like actually financially, legally, who is at most risk for telling you bad advice? So they make sure they give you good advice, and that is your doctor, your primary care provider. Primary care provider is the term used nowadays. We used to say doctor, but sometimes your primary care is not necessarily a medical doctor. So as long as they are licensed by the state of New York or whichever state you reside in to practice medicine. So it could be, what do I talk about? Could be like a physician assistant, PA, or maybe even a nurse, depending on your health plan. And once you are recognized as being pregnant, then of course the obstetric gynecologist, if you're lucky to get one. There are some states where it's hard for the average person, average expected mother to find one. But that's a whole nother issue. It's a whole nother class, actually, the availability of appropriate health care. So beware of advice from the internet as you do your research. Be aware that people are out there who are only trying to make money off of you, and they are pretty much immune from the bad advice they give. So follow this advice, which is for most people. It's true for most people, but if you have a specific medical situation that is different from most people, then you want to especially pay attention to your doctor, your primary care provider. There's an asterisk for mercury, and where I'm going to talk about it in more depth when we come to toxins. When do we do that? Well, let's go back to the syllabus on Brightspace, and then you go to the bottom of the syllabus and you scroll all the way down, and here you go. You see, when am I going to go into toxins? It's actually next week, our food supply, and I'm going to talk about our fish as our food supply. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, fish that is brought out of the oceans, not farmed fish, but fish made caught in the oceans. They have varying levels of mercury. So you want to make sure that the fish you do buy and eat is low in mercury. Mercury is particularly toxic to developing minds, which means your baby. So you really want to find out fish that's low on the mercury scale. How do you do that? Use a search engine, and whatever fish you are about to buy, you're standing there in the grocery store in the fish aisle, and you see a great sale, like a certain fish is on sale today, and it's a great price. Before you buy it, search for their mercury level. Just type mercury and that fish name and search and see what comes up. You don't want to, for mothers do not want to eat any fish that is medium or high on the mercury level. So only buy fish that is low on the mercury level, and only eat it twice per week. You should get omega-3 somehow, and the best source of omega-3 is wild-caught fish. Wild-caught fish. Farmed fish has omega-3 artificially added. Although it says omega-3 on the package, there is a human being putting it in that body, while wild-caught fish has it naturally high levels. So you want that for your baby, but unfortunately, the more fish of any level you eat, the more mercury you put in your body, and that's toxic to the baby. So that is an unfortunate balancing act you have to keep. All right. An expectant mother should avoid some things, and even though you may see some influencers talking about low-calorie diets for expectant mothers, bad idea. Very, very bad idea. You're supposed to be eating for two, not eating for a half person. So do not give in to the hype. Do not eat low-calorie diets when you have a growing human inside of you. Your growing baby needs these extra calories, and so do you. Undercooked or uncooked meats, that just exposes you to toxins. So no more sushi for 9 months. Avoid sushi for 9 months until your baby is born. Avoid raw, rare, or beef tartare, raw, rare beef or beef tartare, and absolutely make sure your chicken and other poultry is fully cooked, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, as the internet says. Okay, do not eat any fish in the medium to high mercury, and these are, if you have any knowledge of fish, these are fish higher on the food chain. Little fish eat bigger fish eat little fish, right? So the biggest fish that eat little fish, and these are that. Tuna, if you search for it, you will find It's both in the medium and low, medium, and high categories of mercury. How is that possible? Well, tuna is just a category. Tuna is not a specific fish. It's the name for a category of fishes. Some of the tunas are in the low mercury, some are in the medium, some are in the high mercury. Tuna fish or tuna salad that's in the cans, it is a mismatch. It is a mismatch of the cheapest tuna they can get. They grind it all up into a paste and put it into a can. So you don't know what kind of tuna you're getting when you buy tuna fish. Anyway, so tilapia. What's up with, why did I put tilapia here? If you don't care, then it doesn't matter. But if you love tilapia and you want to keep tilapia, maybe you don't want to look it up on the internet, like how it's made. Just saying, I'm not implying that it's healthy for the baby or unhealthy for the baby. I'm just saying, if you want to keep on enjoying your tilapia, then don't search for it. Sometimes people buy tilapia because it's the cheapest fish on the rack, on the shelf. Why? That's a clue. Why is tilapia the cheapest fish on the shelf? When you research it, you will figure out why tilapia is the cheapest fish on the shelf. Okay, so these were things. Caffeine. I made a joke a couple of weeks ago about how caffeine is like the most socially acceptable addiction, because try to take caffeine away from some people and they will threaten to kill you. They are showing the signs of addiction, dependency addiction. The personality changes if they don't get their regular caffeine fix. So it's an addiction, and do you really want to make your baby addicted to caffeine even before it is born? It's basically how this goes. Caffeine does things to the body and has been linked or has been associated with miscarriage, stillborns, and low birth weight, small for gestational age, but can also lead to overweight or obese children. And this one is depending on what you put in the coffee, right? If you add so many things to your coffee that you've literally turned it into a milkshake, the calories and fat of a milkshake, then no wonder the child raised on it. Why would you want to give your child caffeine? They're already bouncing off the walls from the sugar cereals. Anyway, during development, caffeine is an issue. You probably want to stay away from it if you can. Some people are so addicted to caffeine, the withdrawal symptoms are so severe that it may not make sense. So anyway, talk to your doctor. It's not an out and out it's not category X, drug category X, which is drug category X are known teratogens, known to cause birth defects. So it's not that. But if you can, try to avoid caffeine. If you're having trouble, talk to your doctor. Do you really need to? Or are the withdrawal symptoms bad enough that your doctor says, you know what, go ahead, have a cup? Okay, no. Never drink alcohol or take illegal drugs if you are pregnant. Homework assignment, look up fetal alcohol syndrome. Read about it. Tell me what you find. Drugs that are category C, D, or X are levels of birth causing associations or proven associations with birth defects. X means it is proven. C means it's not unproven. So better safe than sorry. And D means there may be some birth defects, but the drug is so necessary to save the life of the mother that it's worth it. It's worth the risk to the baby. Because if the mother dies, then the baby has no chance It doesn't matter what the states in the South say. If the mother dies, the baby has no chance of survival. So sometimes the mother must take this drug in order to save her life. So the doctor should know the difference. If you're taking a medication that's category C for some strange reason, and you are a mother of childbearing age, then there must be a good reason why the doctor would risk that of you, because half of all pregnancies are unexpected, right? It's not like they ask you, do you expect to be pregnant? And if the woman says no, and then, okay, you can take this drug. No, because the doctor's supposed to know that half of all pregnancies are unexpected. So if they prescribe you a drug C in category C, and then surprise, surprise, a month later you announce you're pregnant, or you find out you're pregnant, your doctor's like, oh crap, you're taking drug C, a category C drug. So your doctor is supposed to avoid category C, even if you are not pregnant and you don't have any plans to be. But that's between you and your doctor. Maybe the disease that you are dealing with is so serious, and the drug that is best for this disease is really necessary, so it's worth the risk. And that's between you and your doctor. Search for toxoplasmosis and pregnancy, and you will find cat litter boxes. Cats have a tendency to have toxoplasma, which is an infection, and it doesn't bother the cat at all. And it doesn't bother most humans at all, but it really does bother the developing baby, the fetus, the embryo. So if you have a cat in the house and you become pregnant, I'd talk to your OBGYN about what should you do about the cat. It sounds cruel to keep the cat out of your house for 9 months. But so if you as the mother and as the family decide, no, we're keeping the cat is family, we are not getting rid of the cat. Okay, but somebody else has to change the cat litter box, not you. The pregnant mother cannot be messing with a cat litter box. Somebody else must clean the cat litter box. Okay. As the woman becomes more pregnant, so you are pregnant or not, but as the woman's belly gets bigger and she is eating for two, and it's understandable that some people, well, she will look in the mirror and think that she is becoming less attractive because she's getting bigger, and that is inconsistent with pop culture definitions of attractiveness and beauty. And some women don't handle it well, and so they form a mental health disorder, and it's called pregorexia, which ends the same way that anorexia does. So that's kind of, because they're both a mental health disorder, they both result in behavior that is unhealthy, but this time it's not only unhealthy for the woman, it's also unhealthy for her developing baby. These things you will sound familiar if you have been reading about the other eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia. And so if a pregnant woman is engaging in these behaviors because of this motivation, she really needs to talk to a psychiatrist. What's the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist? A psychiatrist graduated from medical school, and they deal with mental health disorders that go on to cause physical body disorders. A psychologist is a doctor with a PhD, not an MD, but a PhD. That's the main difference. But anyway, the woman with pregorexia, which is diagnosed by her OBGYN, will then be, it's detected by her OBGYN, and that OBGYN or the primary care provider should refer this woman to a psychiatrist. All right, so the baby is born. Congratulations, and these are the the life stages that the baby goes through. Here, I'm not going to test you on the years, but in case you are curious, here they are. Infant. So the rates of infant mortality, death before the age of 12 months or 1 year, has been declining, but it's still not zero. Why? Well, the most common cause is nutrition, but also other causes like access to health care, and something ominous also, improved advanced clinical care, increased education, improving vaccinations. Yeah, so I should have mentioned that. If you care about your baby, get them vaccinated. If you follow these conspiracy theories against vaccinations and decide not to vaccinate your baby, you are exposing them to very, very serious diseases that are easily preventable with vaccinations. This is the old people who choose not to get vaccinated or their babies vaccinated because of conspiracy theories is like the person who refuses to walk on the sidewalk because they heard stories of people being hit by cars when they are walking on the sidewalk. So they decide it's safer to walk in the middle of the street. And you may say, that's stupid. Nobody is that dumb to make that kind of a logical fallacy. Doctors, primary care providers, and doctors who are specialists in immunology, it is just mind-boggling that people can make this misinformation is causing so much harm out in the public. Risks. There is risks to the newborn and the developing baby are these things. Congenital sounds like genes, but it includes heredity and things that happened during birth, because the GEN here is not just genetics. It's not just genetics, but gen is creation. So this root word is actually talking about birth. And genetic or hereditary issues can cause a congenital abnormality, but also the baby could have been developing perfectly fine for 9 months, and then at the moment of birth something terrible happened. There was a complication in the delivery room. The person doing the delivery, assisting in the delivery, the mother did all the delivery, but there are some professionals who assist in delivery. They make a mistake, or the mother doesn't treat her body right, like she starves herself or takes illegal drugs or takes one of those teratogens, anyway, and it results in like a preterm or low birth weight baby, and then there's sudden infant death syndrome. So here are some advice from your textbook about things an expectant mother can prepare for and a new mother can follow to reduce the risk of at least SIDS and improve the chances of survival. Doing all of these things is not a guarantee, because nothing in reality is 100%, nothing in reality is 0%, but these will modify the risks of things happening. Women, Infant, and Children, WIC, is our community programs that give the young child the best chance of a healthy future. And the most common risk, the biggest risk to a young child is malnutrition, improper nutrition. And that not only includes not eating enough, but also includes eating too much of the wrong things. Those are both malnutrition. And so women, infant, and children programs is there to try to help the mother, the family, provide enough and the right kinds of foods for their children. Why would a society invest money, resources, and time into these programs? Because the society is investing in their future. The healthier the child is, the higher the chance that they will grow up into a healthy adult, and a healthy adult is more productive. Provides more resources into the community, takes less resources away from the community. They pay taxes, so it pays back. The investment that communities make into children pays back into the future. So WIC is the actual name of some of these programs, sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture. Why would the Department of Agriculture be all in on investing in women, infants, and children? Because the Department of Agriculture represents the farmers who produce these foods. CHIP is another program, and then the MCHB is another program, and the whole point of this is that it helps families, especially families who are financially struggling, to pay for childhood nutrition. Through the cracks, what I meant is that for families who are poor enough, then there's Medicaid. Medicaid is for people under a certain income level. And then people who are rich enough, well, they pay for everything themselves. So what about the people in the middle? People who are not rich enough to pay for everything their children needs, but not poor enough to qualify for Medicaid. That's where these programs come in. There was a time a few decades ago, during the 50s especially, when science was like all the rage. And people thought that science would solve everything. That they were imagining flying cars and spaceships and a perfect society and genetic engineering to make the perfect human being. So there was this huge respect and trust in science. Well, since then, coincidentally after the Vietnam War, the trust in public officials degraded a lot, and especially in the past couple of decades, the trust in science and scientists have degraded a lot. But back then, there was this idea then that not only will science solve everything else, but they will solve the perfect infant formula. They will find out exactly what the human body needs, exactly what a developing child needs. They will create the perfect recipe for the perfect infant formula, and it will be even better than breast milk. Since then, the realization has finally dawned on people, especially the people in charge, that no, we still haven't figured out exactly what it means to be human, even at the biochemical level. We still have not perfected the perfect infant formula, and there's nothing better than mother's breast milk. And it goes along the lines of humans will never know everything about everything. It's just impossible. Or that is my philosophy, and many people agree with me, that, you know what, reality is so complex that humans will never know everything about everything. There will always be more things to learn. Research and discovery will never stop. We will always learn a little more with every generation. So whatever we thought we used to know about what a baby needs will turn out, in the future, will turn out to be not as much as there is. to know. So no matter, as in science makes tweaks and improvements on infant formula, it will never be as good as mother's breast milk. The best thing for your baby is mother's breast milk. That said, there is a place for baby formula, for especially the commercially available ones, not the super expensive secret government lab infant formula, but at least the stuff that's available on the store shelves. There is a place for that, which is that if the mother is unavailable to suckle the baby, or for some reason she is unable to produce enough milk, or she has some kind of medical condition where her own breast milk is not appropriate. There are some diseases that causes problems with the breast milk. Then the commercial formula is better than nothing. Definitely don't give them cow's milk. The commercial formula is superior to cow's milk, but that's only if the mother's milk is not enough or unavailable. How are you supposed to know when to give what? Talk to the pediatrician. They are the experts here. Be careful to not introduce dangerous pathogens to the baby while doing anything. So when preparing formula, wash hands before. Do not microwave the baby formula, because you know that old joke about the snacks that you put in the microwave, like the frozen snacks you put in the microwave, and then when you eat it, parts of it are scalding hot, and then parts of it are still frozen solid. The microwave does not cook everything evenly. So do not microwave the formula, because there will be some parts that are so hot it can burn the baby's mouth and throat, even when the rest of it feels like it should be okay, but you never know. All right, so the baby survived past their first year, and now what do you do? And here are some textbook recommendations, like 50% of calories from fat. So for adult, once you're adult, then you want to reduce your fat intake to moderate levels. You should not reduce it to zero, because everybody needs fat, but American adults don't need the fat we are ingesting from especially from commercially prepared meals. That's too much fat. But what about children? They're developing. They are literally building a new body almost every year. It's like cellular turnaround, and not only are they replacing the cells they currently have, but they're building more cells so they can grow big and strong. So they're going to need more fat. A developing child needs more fat than an already fully developed adult. The first year they should use mother's milk and then formula, and then they can switch to cow's milk after the first year. And then now the parents have to start carefully controlling, well, not start, but parents should continue to carefully make sure that the child is eating a healthy meal, not junk food, not Lunchables, not the city approved Lunchables they're trying to pass off in the cafeteria, school cafeteria, but actual healthy meals. Lunchables, and there's some YouTube influencers who have their own version of Lunchables. Those are high in sodium, high salt, and high carbohydrates. So, and kids hate vegetables, and everybody knows that. But parents, that doesn't mean the parents are allowed to give up trying. They have to keep trying, because children, as well as all other human beings, need fiber to keep a healthy digestive system, and the best way to get fiber is fruits and vegetables. Okay, toddler 1 to 3 years. Again, textbook recommendations, but follow your pediatrician. Really follow your pediatrician. Okay. Um, by the time they're starting to get towards their adolescence, they are on the internet. Many parents, tragically, unfortunately, many parents put their kids on the internet and then walk away, leave them unsupervised. And the main reason is parents are very, very busy, and that's understandable. Parents are desperate for something to keep the children occupied so that parents can do adult things and provide for the family, take care of the family. But leaving children unsupervised on the internet results in mental health disorders, and that also results in all these problems here that I've been talking about in various ways. So children are learning to pick up adult problems off the internet. This is, if these sound familiar, and it's because the adult problems are reaching our children. These are the things that I've been talking about since day one, since the first lecture, and now the children are dealing with these adult issues too, because of the internet, because of advertising, because of marketing, because of the immense amounts of money that junk food makers are putting into marketing to take advantage of our instincts to look for high sugar, salt, and fat. Teenagers, you remember when you were a teenager. Some of you were teenagers not that long ago, and some of you may even be feeling the pressures of young adulthood, meaning especially peer pressure, the overwhelming desire to fit into peer groups. And so not all of people are your age, because there are some people your age you can't stand. There's some people your age you think are idiots. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about the overwhelming desire to fit into the people you do like, you do respect. You do want them to respect you, to think well of you, to hang out with you. You want to spend time with them. That overwhelming desire to fit into that group. And that results in, and that coupled with the internet and the fear of missing out, results in things like body dysmorphia, which is the anorexia, bulimia, and also muscle dysmorphia. So guys, especially young men who want to look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or look like Thor, all of them, so many of the Hollywood movie stars are so built up, and they are the role models now, and the young men want to look like that, and so they also have body dysmorphia. They go to the gym too much, and then when going to the gym doesn't grow them the muscles they thought they were supposed to get, then they look for other ways to grow muscles, and that means the pressure is on now for anabolic steroids. And it doesn't take much time browsing on the internet to find videos and influencers telling them that anabolic steroids are safe, they are good for you, and this is the way to take them safely and effectively. It's all a con game. All those influencers want is clicks and ad revenue, and they're convincing young, vulnerable, impressionable people to use these dangerous chemicals, and then they walk away with their money. And if anybody is seriously harmed, then they get shouted down on the comment section, and the influencers can just say, "Hey, you didn't have to listen to me. I'm not your doctor. Go listen to your doctor." So they are completely untouchable, beyond the reach of the law, while they give away these harmful advice. Young people are also feeling these stressful schedules as they transition to adulthood, and it doesn't leave them much time for healthy eating, so they turn to vending machines. And the vending machines don't give much of a selection beyond high sugar, high salt foods. body dysmorphia is not only for men, young men, but also for young women. Young women are also driven and competitive, and they join sports teams in their school, and they really push themselves. But women need a higher body percentage of fat for healthy living. But they want to reduce that fat not only for athletic purposes, but also for their own appearance. And so that's another kind of there's another kind of body dysmorphia. They push their bodies to reduce the fat percentage, but as a result, they impact the hormones in their body, and then they interfere with their menstrual cycles. The estrogen, especially, is impaired. The estrogen production is impaired. That affects their menstrual cycle, and the estrogen production being impaired also leads to osteoporosis. This is why older women get osteoporosis, because after menopause their estrogen levels drop, and here these young women are doing it to themselves with the estrogen loss. Why? Well, this excessive exercise reduces estrogen production in many ways, but one of the ways is that not the most, but a big source of estrogen in the body, both men and women, are fat cells. For women, the biggest source of estrogen is their ovaries, of course, but they also get a lot of estrogen from fat cells. So if they reduce their body fat to single digits, then also they are losing out on an important source of estrogen. By the way, in men, the most common source of estrogen, or the biggest source of estrogen in men, is fat cells, because their testicles don't make estrogen. So for those men who are obsessed about not getting estrogen in their bodies, and so avoiding certain foods because the internet told them these foods introduce estrogen, if these men are really concerned about estrogen in their bodies, like it affects their manliness, then they need to eat a salad. They need to they need to reduce the fat cells in their body. It's the men who are overweight who are getting high doses of estrogen from their fat cells. So eating disorders are especially problematic in the young adulthood, but not only young adulthood. There is fully adult, even middle-aged people who also have eating disorders, as society is putting pressure on them to look a certain way. So anorexia and bulimia, and I described these in the previous lectures before. Here's a new one, orthorexia nervosa, and that's when the person locks on a certain diet plan, and then they just do not deviate. They are extremely strict. Words like dictate and regiment. They lock on to a certain set of advice, especially if they get on the internet, and then they just do not deviate, and they strictly follow it down to the gram. And the problem here is that it's taking away the joy of life. It's taking away the fun of life. It's taking away the fun of eating. They do not participate in other social activities that require a certain more flexibility in their diet. I mean, I have cheat days. I literally schedule in cheat days to take into account special occasions, celebrations. Last week I went to the graduation ceremony at the paramedic program where I help teach. So I'm not going to be the jerk there. When they had the catering service, I chowed down. I didn't say, I'm sorry, I'm on a strict diet. No, I chowed down. I had lots of pasta and rice and the fatty cream sauce of the meats, and I enjoyed it just like everybody else did. But then I knew that for the following week I'm going to have to make up for it with diet and exercise. So orthorexia is again one of the eating disorders. It is a mental health issue. This person is obsessed about following an exact plan, and they will not hear evidence or advice to the contrary. The echo chamber, an echo chamber, you know what an echo is, right? You yell across a canyon, and then the thing you yelled finally, after like a second, bounces back to you, so you hear your voice from the other side, and that's an echo. Well, an echo chamber is like if you sit in a chamber and your voice keeps echoing back to you again and again and again. So an echo chamber on the internet is people who are so resistant to alternate opinions that they surround themselves only with people who say the same things they do. So they hear advice that they want to hear, and they never hear information or evidence that they don't want to hear. They completely block it out. They cancel it, and they only follow websites and videos that they want, and completely ignore websites and videos that challenge their beliefs. So they are locked into this echo chamber. They only hear things that reinforce their convictions, and they are trapped in it. With every cycle, they are more and more convinced that what they believe is correct, and everybody else is wrong. These are all mental health disorders. They need to talk to a psychiatrist. Well, if they end up in a hospital, they have to talk to a psychiatrist. Before that, they can try to talk to a psychologist, or the two of them can refer the patient to each other. Here's an information for somebody, if you have somebody who you're really worried for, their behavior is making you fear for their lives, for their overall health. And this is more information if you want to know more. Body positive image is the goal for anybody who is suffering with low self-esteem, and and that's how we get the folks who are suffering from these body dysmorphia disorders to get them out of this hell that they're living in. A key to body positive image is you should try to be within a medically recommended ranges of health. Okay, if you are obese, you are putting risk for heart disease onto your future self. If you're underweight, then you may not be getting the nutrition you need. I don't know your specific condition, you should talk to a doctor. But as long as you're within medically recommended ranges of health, blood tests, physical exam, then the rest of it is a matter of opinion. You just once you know you're healthy, then you know you're healthy. Then everything else about your attractiveness beyond that is how you feel about yourself, how you project yourself, how you hold yourself, how you treat yourself, how you behave in front of others. That's what makes you attractive, not some extreme level of physicality that will just make the people who love you worry about you. Adults, I think this is the only slide about adults, because this entire course is about adults, like nutritional needs for adults. So, hopefully you've been learning from the lectures up to this point, lectures 1 through 6. You will continue to pay attention for lectures 8 through 13, and that's all about adults. Elderly, oh wow, time flies, right? The circle of life, we're already up to the elderly. Time flies, and time goes faster as you get older. So the percentage of Americans who are in the elderly range over 65 is growing, and not and not only because the baby boomers are now retiring, but also medicine is getting better and better at keeping people alive. So the people born today are having an increasing chance of surviving far into the elderly range. Life expectancy is now around 77 years. It used to be 50. 125 years ago, it used to be 50. That means, though, then that more and more people are living long enough to suffer the consequences of their youthful decisions. Chronic diseases as a result of behavioral choices, specifically eating too much and exercising too little. Maybe I should start saying eating right and exercising enough, because you don't want to exercise too much and you don't want to eat too little, then that's just unhealthy too. So people who are eating unhealthy and exercising inappropriately, ineffectively in their youth are then living long enough to suffer the consequences of those decisions into middle age and then to elderly age. And mainly what I'm talking about is heart disease, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and the risk of strokes from being obese. And of course, use of nicotine, which leads to cancer, and other behaviors that leads to cancer. On average, after age 30, a person's organs start to lose about 1% of function each year. And this is on average again. This is like bell curve, because everybody knows the guy who is 90 years old and can outrun them in a race. And everybody knows the young man who can't walk up a set of steps without being out of breath. So we're talking about average here. And what this means for, here is ADL and IADL is terms that are used for the elderly. If you've ever heard these terms, this is what they're talking about. Anyway, the older the people get, the more their organ functions change, and that results in a change in nutritional requirements. Another problem with becoming old is social isolation. Literally, basically, their friends and family are starting to die off or move away, and their energy levels are falling, and so they are not that motivated to make more friends, to go to more social situations, to meet more people. And so their circle of friends are shrinking. Their children are grown and moving away, so their family circles are shrinking, and that results in social isolation. The World Health Organization defines health as wellness in physical, mental, and social parts of life. So without the social health, social well-being, that results in poor health. And one of the ways is self-neglect. With less and less reason to go out, people start to think there's less and less reason to take care of themselves. Basic hygiene, taking a shower, doing laundry, doing the dishes, less reason to stay active, less reason to eat right. Just they focus on the price of the food and not on the quality of the food. Staying isolated results in mental health illnesses too, like depression, and they get into that echo chamber, a one-person echo chamber. The things they tell themselves, they just keep repeating until they really believe it. So one of the homework questions is, do you know an elderly person? And how are they doing socially? Do you know if they are reaching out do you know if they're making regular contacts with people on the outside, friends or family? Just wondering. Okay. So far I've said only bad things about getting old. There are some positive things to look forward to to growing old. Thanks to medicine and the internet and technology in general, it's getting easier and easier to be old. So now you have to be 85 in order to have the same challenges and limitations that people used to have when they were 65 a long time ago. Uh, Loneliness. So what I just said, social isolation. But so some elderly are suffering more social isolation, but other elderly people are feeling less lonely because maybe the number of their relationships is shrinking, but the quality of the relationships they do have left, they are appreciating more. There is a stereotype that all old people live in nursing homes, but only 5%, only 1 in 20 Americans live in nursing homes over 65. Now the number starts to rise when the age goes up, right? But being old doesn't mean you're going to be stuck in a nursing home. Most Americans over 65 live in their own homes. They live in a house they own, because boomers, they bought houses when housing was cheap, right? Nobody can afford a house anymore now, but they were affordable long time ago. They're living in these homes. They're taking care of it. They're doing a good job. They are living an autonomous life. So let's go to nutrition. The elderly need to make an extra effort to eat healthy, because one of the organs reduce function 1% every year. So by the time they are 60 instead of 30, so that's 30% on average. And so taste buds just don't work the same anymore. They have lower appetite, and by the way, they're also lower energy to go out shopping and cooking. And so the things they do end up eating is like optimized for effort and price. And in medical school there was this phrase, just tea and toast. So that is a red flag for severe malnutrition. You talk to somebody in the hospital emergency room, and you ask them, what have you been eating these days? And they would say something like just tea and toast. Not real food, not even meat. And then why not? And then they say they just can't be bothered to cook a full meal. So this is severe malnutrition. They really need that. Not only are they not eating well-balanced meals, but even the meals they do eat are not absorbed by the body as well, slowing digestion. They have worsening constipation also. People with ADL or IADL also have trouble cooking the food, so they rely more on prepackaged processed food, delivery food, if at all. And as the elderly are retiring, then the loss of income means that they have less money to buy these foods, whether it's delivery or going to the supermarket and buying them. So all the things that we talked about with nutrition the rest of the semester, the elderly still need these, but now they need to make this extra effort to motivate themselves to go out and make it happen. The lucky few percent have family who can do it for them, do the shopping for them, or push them to go to the grocery store with them, so they can get some exercise, at least some walking exercise. Push them go to their medical appointments, go to the dentist to get some dentures, even though dentures are not the perfect replacement for teeth. It's better than not having teeth. And isolation, high risk of alcoholism. As the elderly person who is living alone, nobody is living with them, nobody is seeing them, nobody's checking up on them, and they turn to alcohol because why not? And they feel like, yeah, I've lived my life, nobody tells me what to do anymore. If I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. But with less social activity, less things to do, then alcohol seems to be like one of the few things left that they think they have to enjoy, so they turn more to it. Speaking of people who take care of them, when the elderly get into the IADL, and then even then to the ADL issues, so they no longer have ADL, which means they need help going to the bathroom, they need help getting out of bed, they need help maintaining basic hygiene. Then the caretakers of the relatives and now we're talking their adult children, are the ones who are not only providing social contact but also pushing them to go out and do things. But then now these children are now responsible for taking care of their parents, wiping them in the toilet, giving them baths, helping them out of bed, getting them off the floor if they fell, making sure they don't fall. This is highly, highly stressing, especially when they are undertrained. So the children, the adult children, are living their lives. They have children of their own. They have jobs of their own, keeping them very, very busy. And now suddenly, seem like out of nowhere, their parent needs help going to the bathroom. Their parent cannot be left alone for even an hour, or there's a risk that they will get into an accident. With Alzheimer's, there's a risk that the parent may wander off and get into trouble, or be hit by a car, or just be wander off into the snow and risk dying of hypothermia, or wander off into a hot summer day and risk hyperthermia. So this is excess stress on an undertrained person who never learned how to do any of these things. And these children, these adult children, already have full busy lives, and now they have to deal with this. And so this can cause severe mental stresses on these adult children. There are programs like this one to provide some support for these adult children caretakers. There is a program in New York State where adult children can get some financial compensation. They're kind of paid like an untrained assistant salary range. I don't really know the details of it, but I've heard of programs like that. Something, if you are dealing with this situation, like you have to take care of your aging parent who needs ADL assistance, then you may want to look into that. The program actually exists, so you may want to find out how you can get some kind of financial compensation, and that way it help deals with the bills. There are other programs for the elderly, so like I just talked about, where they have harder and harder, more and more difficult time preparing food, getting healthy food. Then Meals on Wheels will have these foods delivered, and other programs available for the elderly. This list of programs is just an example. It's not a complete list, and the actual list is going to grow as the baby boomers retire. The baby boomer generation changed society at every stage they were. When they were children, they changed the way education, high schools worked. When they went into the workforce, they changed the way working was done. When they went into the middle age, they changed the way investing was done. They are just such large numbers that they change society wherever they go. So as they start retiring, the way that society handles elderly support is going to be modified in the same way. So stay tuned. Speaking of nursing homes, by the way, it is the most expensive way to live. Well, there is one more level which is more expensive, and that's like staying in an emergency room, staying in a hospital. So actually staying in a hospital is the most expensive daily rate. But nobody stays in a hospital for long anymore. The hospital does everything it can to discharge the patient to one of these places as soon as possible. So it's not a long-term thing. The most expensive long-term place to live is a nursing home, because that's 24-hour care. And now some people really need it, especially people with ADL issues. Then that's it. They cannot be. It's too dangerous to leave them unsupervised for even an hour. So they have to be supervised in some way. And most people cannot afford a 24-hour live-in nurse or caretaker. So instead, they have to have their parent put in a nursing home, but only if you can afford it. Insurance does not go long enough, so only for people who can afford it. If they don't need 24-hour supervision, but it would be nice to have staff like in the building, and the resident doesn't need ADL support, but they could use IADL support. What's IADL? It's one of the previous slides. Then they may want to live in an assisted living facility. So it's not as expensive as a nursing home, but there is in-building staff, so there is a cost for that. The staff is available. They are just down the hall, or they are at somewhere like in the first floor of the building. So they are able to respond in only a few minutes if they are called for help. Retirement and if you don't need IADL support, you don't need to have a stranger, basically a stranger, living in the same building as you. But it would be nice to live among other people like you, like other people in your age range, and maybe some support facilities in like a nearby building, not your building, but a nearby building, and to live, in your own house. That's a retirement community. So this is the cost of a house. It's a little higher than an ordinary house, but it looks like an ordinary house. You live like you live in an ordinary house, but just down the street, only like a few minutes away by golf cart, there are support facilities like a cafeteria, a restaurant, not a cafeteria, a restaurant, an exercise gym, activity center, and everything. And many of them are surrounded by a gate with a security guard who can handle 911 calls if it comes to that. So that's a retirement community. And then everybody else lives in their own house or their own apartment. Well, I shouldn't say everybody else. There is a small percentage of the elderly society who are not without housing, either homeless or forced to move in with their adult children, whether in a house or an apartment. They are in a financially bad place. But that's unfortunate, but that's reality, right? Okay, and so nutrition-wise, what does this have to do with nutrition? Well, nursing home, the nutrition is handled strictly by the staff. In assisted living, nutrition is provided by the in-building cafeteria and delivered to rooms as per the contract, whatever the contract is. Retirement communities, that's a house. So these elderly people cook for themselves. They handle their own cooking and eating, etc. Okay, this was not a very long lecture, huh? I'm done already. So you've heard enough from me to answer the homework and quizzes. So good luck on that, and you will hear from me next week.